Live from Germany is Eckart Stratenschulte, Professor of Political Science and Director of the European Academy of Berlin. Many thanks for joining us, Professor. I'm not sure if you had the chance to listen in to what the Turkish Deputy Prime Minister was saying there, but one of the points he made was that Turkey's basic democratic right for Turkish MPs to address their own citizens in the Netherlands has been taken away from them. Do you think that's a fair point?
Well, first of all, it is very interesting to hear Mr. Šimšek to talk about the importance of the freedom of speech. I think that's very important, and we all hope that the German journalist Dennis Yücel, who has been in custody for weeks now, will benefit from this approach towards the freedom of speech. Besides that, Mr. Šimšek made very clear what it's all about. It's an organized provocation to make the Turkish people together behind a strong leader. And for that, you have to say, look, we're surrounded by enemies. They're all fascist. None of them is a Democrat. And therefore, we need a strong leader. And you have to vote for yes. So I think
it wasn't Turkey. It wasn't Turkey who orchestrated this. It was the Dutch government who prevented the Turkish ministers from entering the country. You don't think stopping an aircraft from landing is a provocation?
Imagine it the other way around. Imagine the Dutch Prime Minister, the German chancellors, and others would say, "We go now to Turkey." And we hold rallies and we address your residents. And your government says, but you're not welcome. And we would say, we don't care, we come anyway. And if you don't allow us, you are Nazis and we'll impose sanctions on you and so on. So of course, this is an orchestrated provocation. There is no freedom of speech for officials from other countries. Our constitutional court just ruled that very clearly. There's a freedom of speech for residents in Germany, there's a freedom of speech for private persons, but it does not mean that the president of Turkey or Argentina or whatever could come in his official mission and does what he wants.
What do you think? Okay, so what do you think is going to happen next? The Turkish leaders have made clear they want an apology and that there will be some sort of consequences. Do you think they will get an apology from the Netherlands?
Yeah, of course not. I mean, but this is part of the game. Of course, I'm pretty sure that the Turkish leadership wants to steer that up till the referendum to show that they're surrounded by bad people and they're the only good people, and therefore you have to say evet. And the point is, in the short run, this is very entertaining. This is excellent stuff for all our political comedies over the next weeks. But in the long run, it is, of course, disastrous. Disastrous for the relations, disastrous also for Turkey.
Well, this is what I want to ask you. I mean, at the end of the day, the bigger picture is the two sides are very much tied. There is the refugee deal, there's the NATO agreement. How do you think this is going to play out in the long term? Are things going to have to die down?
At the moment, we in Berlin have the world's biggest tourism fair, the ITB. And it shows very clearly that less and less people want to go to Turkey on vacation. So this is one of the consequences, because people listen to the news, they get this, and they don't feel welcome anymore. And this will directly, of course, have consequences for Turkish tourism industry and also for the political relations. I mean, the EU-Turkey relations are more or less dead at the moment. Now, Mr. Cavusoglu threatens Turkey could leave NATO and we could ally ourselves with Russia. I mean, this is not following a rational concept. But my guess is they will keep this language up and this behavior up till the referendum, and then we can try to fix it. But it will be a long time. But now asking for an apology is part of the provocation game, no doubt about that.
Just one more point. You say this is politically motivated by Turkey. Is this entire saga not also politically motivated by the Netherlands, who also have elections coming up in a few days?
No, because this is a support for the right extremists, for the xenophobic anti-Islamic party of Geert Wilders. This is not the government. So I think Turkey made it much more difficult during the last 24 hours for the present Dutch government to stay in power and not be ousted by the right extremists. So this has an impact on the election campaign, but not for the moderate forces, but for the right extremists. And this will be the same in France with Marine Le Pen.
Okay, Professor Eckart, appreciate you joining us today, Professor of Political Science and Director of the European Academy of Berlin.